Hello and welcome to another lesson on ChemTube. My name is Chakube Paul, your chemistry teacher. In our last lesson, we introduced chemistry. During the course of that lesson, we defined chemistry, stated the branches of chemistry, and then we looked at the benefits and the negative impacts of chemistry. In today's lesson, we are dealing with nature and changes of matter. This nature and changes of matter would be divided into two parts. In the first part, we are going to be focusing on properties of matter and the changes of matter. That is, the properties that can be attributed to matter, as well as the changes that matter undergoes. Remember, when we defined chemistry, we said something about changes. We said something as well about properties. So in this lesson, it is expected that at the end of it, you will be able to identify different properties and place them in the right category. Then it is also expected that you would be able to know a physical change and a chemical change when you come across them, and as well differentiate them based on some given criteria. Without wasting further time, we begin the lesson. Now, when we talk about any given substance, there are things that are used in knowing them. Like we human beings, we have our respective characteristics, things that people identify us with. The same applies to matter. Matter has its own properties, its own features, its attributes. And these attributes can be classified into two distinct groups. Number one, physical properties. Number two, chemical properties. Now, if you are asked, what is a physical property? What will be your response? How will you define a physical property? You can go ahead and give me your response in the comment section. What is a physical property? Okay. Basically, a physical property is any observable or measurable characteristics of a given substance that is not associated with a change in identity. That is to say that there is no change in the composition of that substance. Let me write it on the board. Physical properties refers to those observable or measurable characteristics that does not involve a change in the identity of the substance or matter. The composition remains the same. What makes up that particular matter remains the same. It doesn't change. In the case of physical properties, what are examples of physical properties? We can talk about solubility and electric conductivity. I am making mention of these two as the first set of examples because in our last lesson, when we defined chemistry, we gave an illustration of that definition using common salt or sodium chloride. And in the course of the explanation, we said some things about the characteristics of sodium chloride. And we said in aqueous solution, it is a good conductor of electricity. So for it to be in aqueous solution, it has to be dissolved in water. So solubility and electric conductivity are two examples of physical properties. What other examples of physical properties do we have? We have color, we have density, we have melting point, boiling point, and freezing point. I repeat them again: solubility, electric conductivity, color, density, melting point, boiling point, freezing point, and even hardness. What other examples do you know? You can go ahead and put it down in the comment section. Yes. Okay, now if this is the definition of physical properties, what then is a chemical property? Take note. Chemical properties and physical properties differ in the sense that where the identity of the substance remains the same in physical properties, in the case of chemical properties, there is a change in the composition of the matter because there is a chemical reaction involved. So if I am to define chemical properties, I will say that these are observable and measurable characteristics of a substance that involves a change in the composition of the substance. That is, physical properties has to do with change in composition. It has to do with chemical change. It has to do with chemical reactions. So I put it down. So, this is the definition of chemical properties. They are properties that can be observed or measured and that involves a change in the composition of the matter in question as a result of the occurrence of a chemical reaction. So what are the examples of chemical properties that we have? We can talk about acidity, we can talk about alkalinity, we can mention reactivity, flammability, and toxicity. I repeat them again: acidity, alkalinity, reactivity, toxicity, and flammability. These are 5 examples of chemical properties. So, can you go ahead and add 1 or 2 properties in the comment section? Chemical properties, of course. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and talk about physical and chemical changes. You see, matter always undergo changes. If for nothing, change of state. Change of state. But basically, there are 2 types of changes recognized in chemistry at this level, and they are physical changes and chemical changes. So, what is a physical change? A physical change is any change that is easily reversible and that does not involve the formation of a new substance. The 2 things you need to take note of in this definition are reversibility and formation of a new substance. The same thing is what you have to look at when you are defining chemical change. But when you now talk about either physical or chemical change, you will now have to focus on how reversibility and formation of a new substance is connected to physical change and chemical change. So in the case of physical change, I said it is a change that is easily reversible and does not in capital letters or in quote, does not involve the formation of a new substance. That is to say, a physical change does not involve a chemical reaction. Is that clear? Wait. Physical change is any change that is easily reversible and does not involve the formation of a new substance. Typical examples of physical change are the sublimation of iodine, the melting of ice, as well as the melting of candle wax. Another example is the freezing of water. These are all physical changes. There is no reaction whatsoever involved in any of these listed processes. And as you all know, when water freezes, when you now bring that ice and place it in a place where there is high temperature, or you heat up that ice, you will see that it will return back to water form. So you can see it is easily reversible. The solution of salt in water, you can get back your salt because it is a physical change. So, having said this about physical change, what is a chemical change? A chemical change is any change that is not easily reversible because of the formation of a new substance. The change cannot be easily reversed, and there is also the formation of a new substance. That is to say that it is not what goes in comes out. I'll give you an example. When you burn wood, what do you get? You don't get back wood. You get your coal. Another example, when iron rusts, you don't get back that iron. You cannot just get back that iron. Another example, the electrolysis of a compound such as sulfuric acid. Another example, the dissolution of metal. These are reactions that cannot be easily reversed if reversible. But like I said, the rusting of iron is not reversible. It is not. So, I put it down on the board. This is supposed to be physical change. This is physical change, not physical. So, a chemical change refers to any change that is not easily reversible, and that involves the formation of a new substance. I have given examples of a chemical change. So you have examples of physical change and you have examples of chemical change. But the bottom line is, the main difference between physical and chemical change lies in the involvement of a chemical reaction. Physical change doesn't involve a chemical reaction. Chemical change involves a chemical reaction. That is why new substance or substances gets formed. Is that clear? Okay. Now we can compare physical change and chemical change based on some criteria. Now, we can compare them based on reversibility, substance formation, mass change, and heat change. We can compare both types of changes using these 4 criteria. Now, in terms of reversibility, physical change is easily reversible. Chemical change is not easily reversible. In terms of substance formation, physical change does not involve the formation of a new substance, but chemical change results in the formation of a new substance. In terms of mass change, the mass of the substance involved in physical change remains the same. Like I said earlier, when you weigh the ice and then you melt the ice into water and you now weigh the water, you will discover that the mass of the ice is relatively the same as the mass of the water. There's no change in mass. But in the case of a chemical change, there is usually a change in mass. It's a fact. Change in mass always occur. Okay, then heat change. In terms of physical change, the heat involved or evolved is usually what? Little. But in terms of a chemical change, there is a significant change in the amount of heat that is imputed and that exits from the reaction. There is a significant heat change. So, to summarize, we've come to a point of understanding that physical properties are properties that does not involve the change in identity or composition, unlike chemical properties. We mentioned some examples of physical properties such as solubility, color, and density, and as well mentioned examples of chemical properties like acidity, flammability, reactivity. Now we have talked about physical change, and we said that it is reversible, easily reversible, and no new substance is formed. And then in the case of chemical change, it is not easily reversible and there is a formation of a new substance. And we ended up comparing physical change and chemical change based on reversibility, new substance formation, mass change, and heat change. This is where we'll bring this particular lesson to an end. If you have any question, you can reach me through my email or through the comment section. If you like to continue with me on this journey of learning chemistry, you can go ahead and click on the notification button if you haven't done that already, so that when the next video comes up, you will be notified. You can as well subscribe to the channel if you have not done that. Thank you very much for your time. See you in next lesson. Bye.